Okay, here's another product review from me, courtesy of my printer that broke. The yellow inkjet in it ceased to work. No matter how much tinkering I did, I could not get that yellow inkjet to function, and I needed a new printer. Now, fortunately, my wife was not happy with her printer, and she needed two different paper trays, and her printer did not have that. So the decision was made that her business would buy her a new printer, and I got to inherit her old one. Yay for me. So the printer that we shopped around for and decided upon was this HP OfficeJet Pro 9020 all-in-one printer. And I gotta say, it's a slick little printer, and we were pretty happy with it. Um, I can say all the usual things about inkjet printers. I don't necessarily like how they're marketed. I'm going to be very upfront with that. Generally, you get a cheap printer, or you get a cheap price on a printer, and then you get reamed out on ink. And I kind of wanted to go with one of those, you know, basically refillable ink printers that are just coming out. I think Epson makes one that has, you can buy just the ink for it rather than cartridges, and I really like that idea. Not an environmentalist very much, except for the fact that I just despise throwing away an ink cartridge every time I gotta change my ink. But let's get beyond that. The HP OfficeJet, like I said, it's a slick little job. It does exactly what we needed it to do. The price was not a cheap little printer. It was 400 and, well, after all said and done, we probably paid well over 450 for the printer. And I'm going to say that so far, I've not been really happy with the printer. And it's not really the printer's fault. The printer actually functions perfectly, and it does what it needs to do. However, it's HP's problem. And this may be the last HP product that we purchase. I'm sorry, HP. We have been loyal customers for many, many years as far as your printers. We have replaced printer after printer after printer with HP products. And this one might be the last one. And I'm going to let you know why. Installation. The printer should plug into your network and work. You load your drivers in your computer and it works right out the box. Even if, let's say, the drivers weren't perfect and it didn't work with your computer very much right out of the box, it should work internally right out of the box. In other words, I should be able to set up the printer, plug it in, then set a piece of paper on the top, hit copy, and I should get a copy out of it. There should be no reason that I should not be able to put a piece of paper on it, hit copy, and get a copy out right out of the box without doing a thing. That is not how this printer works. This printer requires an internet connection, assuming that it's with HP. And so you must set it up. Now, my wife went through all of the steps exactly as the quick start guide showed her. She went through all of the steps to get the printer to function with her computer. It would not function with her computer. And let me pull up the error message that she was getting from the printer here. And I'll just bring that around here. This is what we got. And it said printer setup incomplete, even though she completed it. So finish printer setup to enable printing. This printer requires use of an HP account. Means it needs to be online. So if you don't have internet access or poor internet access, so you don't get on all the time or whatever, this printer won't work for you. It won't print. It needs enabled web services. Why? I don't know. I don't want enabled web services. And an internet connection for setup and use. See the documentation provided with the printer or visit 123.hp.com, and it goes on. When I sat down, my assumption was my wife just did not set the printer up correctly. And so I went through all these procedures myself. Again, did not work. Boy, went to HP support, called up HP support to help me get this printer set up. They went through all these procedures with me again. Could not get the printer to function with the computer. So I sat and watched and let me tell you, I'm going to say something good about HP here, in that their tech support was superlative. That girl worked very hard to get my problem solved. And I was not a happy camper, although I was treating her very politely. But I was really, really upset. So she rebooted and reset to factory the printer 3 total times. She unloaded drivers and reloaded drivers on our computer 3 separate times, all of which ended up with this particular error message. At a certain point, she was out of ideas. She really didn't know what else to do. She went, talked to her supervisor, and then came back to me. It really wasn't the long time that I had to wait, and so I was appreciative of that. And so she asked me, did you sign up for the free ink? Well, no, I didn't sign up for the free ink. I don't really want free ink because free ink really isn't free. So if you're not familiar with HP, they have a deal where you can give them money every month and they monitor your ink. And then when an ink cartridge gets low, they send you a new cartridge. They send it actually a little bit before the ink runs out, so you're never truly out of ink. That's all fine and good if you are printing constantly. But we don't print constantly. She may go 3 months with only printing a document here and there. And then 1 month, she might print 30,000 pages. So the idea of paying every single month is kind of ridiculous. You know, we'll just pay for the ink that we use. Thank you. And so the free ink is like 6 months of monitoring the printer to determine whether the ink is low. And then if it gets low within those 6 months, they'll send you free ink. After that, you're paying a monthly fee every month, depending upon the number of pages that you think you're going to print. And if you print over those number of pages, then they will charge you more. So we did not want this, and my wife bypassed that in the setup. We told the woman we don't want that. So she said, oh, okay. We reset the thing, saying no to the free ink, and lo and behold, the printer would not work. So she started it up again. She set the printer back to factory, reloaded the driver on the computer. This time she said, I'm going to say yes to the free ink. Don't worry, you're not going to get charged for anything. We'll cancel it when we're done. All right, worth a try, except for the fact that I now had to put in my credit card information with somebody who's logged into my computer. That wasn't very fun. I'll probably have to now change my account number. Um, but I had the I had to sign up for the free ink, and once we did that, we went through the procedure. Now the printer would work. Now the printer worked. So what I get from this is, if you purchase the HP OfficeJet Pro 9020 all-in-one printer, you need to sign up for HP's ink supply. So now, true to her word, she did actually discontinue the program as soon as we got the printer to work properly. And I printed out a few test sheets. The printer functioned. I did a copy. The printer functioned. I was happy. I said, "Thank you very much," and hung up. Thought that would be the end of it. The printer now works. She assured me that the printer would work from every computer in my network now, and she assured me that I would not get charged for free ink, and she assured me that that some of the changes that she had made in the computer in my network were not going to affect my network. Okay. Me and my wife decided to go out for dinner. Job well done. Got back home, and we tried to print a test print with our printer from Microsoft Word. Guess what? Printer would not work. She had to get back on tech support. They helped her through it. The printer is now functioning. They needed to update the drivers. Now, also, the other problem we had during this whole fiasco, and I do not understand why this is the situation, but it is the big problem that we had with this, was that the printer wants to be set up with Wi-Fi. Now, I have a very, very large, long house, and the Wi-Fi router is on this side, and over here, the Wi-Fi that my wife's office is. So we actually have her office hardwired. We don't use Wi-Fi on that side of the house because it doesn't function very well. But the printer required Wi-Fi, not an Ethernet connection, to get started. So I actually had to take out the Ethernet cable and set it all up with Wi-Fi, which was a little bit longer process simply because the Wi-Fi doesn't work very well over there, and so everything's a little slower. Once we got that situation finished, then she had to load new drivers to get the Ethernet cable to function properly with the printer. I'm going to go back to what I said right at the outset. A printer, when purchased, should work right out of the box. I should not have to connect to the internet for anything unless, of course, there's an outdated driver on my computer. This was a lot. This literally took 2 hours of our time in setting up. And all because, let me get to the bottom line here, all because HP wants to make sure that we buy ink from HP, that we don't buy an off-brand ink. And they want to make sure that they can charge me, excuse me, they want to make sure that they can charge me every single month rather than just when I need the ink. They're already overcharging me when I buy the ink. It's good $35 now a cartridge. So they're overcharging me on ink. But they want to not just overcharge me on ink, They want to charge me every single month. They want a steady income from me, even when I'm not printing. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable business practices. And that's why I say HP, probably the last printer I ever buy from you. So there you go. There's my review of the HP OfficeJet Pro 9020. It works, but it was a fight to get to work, and it should not be a fight. So if that helps you in your purchasing decision, awesome. Have a great day.